Before you scroll, before you tell yourself this is just another video, I need you to pause for a moment because what you're about to hear might feel strangely personal, almost unsettling. Not in a frightening way, but in the way truth sometimes feels when it quietly finds you. There is a reason this message is reaching you right now, not yesterday, not next week. Now, March 17th is not just another date on the calendar. For most people, it will pass like any other ordinary day. They will wake up, repeat their routines, scroll their phones, carry their worries, and go to sleep without noticing anything different. But for people like you, the ones who have carried silent battles, the ones who have felt misunderstood, overlooked, spiritually exhausted, something has already been set in motion. And whether you realize it or not, heaven has been watching, not judging you the way the world does, watching, studying the quiet strength you've shown when no one else saw it. The nights you stayed strong even when you felt like breaking. The moments you chose kindness when bitterness would have been easier. The times you kept moving forward, even when everything in your life felt uncertain. And what heaven just declared about you changes everything. Because for a long time, you may have believed the silence meant you were forgotten, that the delays meant you were being ignored, that the doors closing meant you were somehow unworthy. But what if the silence was never abandonment? What if the waiting was preparation? You see, the world trains us to believe that success, love, recognition, and peace must arrive quickly if they are meant for us. We are taught that if something takes too long, it probably isn't ours. But heaven works differently. Heaven studies character before it releases destiny, and character is forged in moments that nobody applauds. It is built in the quiet, in the waiting, in the confusion, in the long seasons where nothing seems to make sense. You know those moments, the times when you asked yourself, why is everything so difficult for me? Why do I feel like I'm walking a path that no one else understands? Why does it seem like others move forward easily while I keep facing resistance? Those questions were never signs of weakness. They were signs that you were becoming aware, because chosen people rarely live easy lives, not because they are cursed, but because they are being prepared for something larger than comfort. Preparation often feels like pressure. Growth often feels like loss. And purpose often feels lonely before it becomes powerful. You may have noticed this pattern in your life. Whenever you begin to rise emotionally, something tests you. Whenever you start to believe in yourself, doubt tries to whisper again. Whenever you try to move forward, old fears attempt to pull you backward. And for a long time, you may have wondered if that resistance meant you were on the wrong path. But resistance often appears when you are closer to transformation than you realize. Psychologically, there is something fascinating about human resilience. Most people believe strength means never feeling fear, never feeling pain, never doubting themselves, but true strength is something quieter. It is the ability to keep moving while those feelings exist, to continue choosing growth even when your emotions feel heavy, to remain compassionate even when life has been unfair. And you've done that more times than you probably give yourself credit for. Think about it. There were moments in your life where you genuinely thought you would not recover emotionally. Moments where your heart felt exhausted, where betrayal, disappointment, or uncertainty made you question everything. Yet here you are, still searching for meaning, still open to growth, still listening, still hoping. That alone says something powerful about you, because many people shut down long before this point. They numb themselves. They stop believing. They stop listening to the quiet voice inside them that says, there must be more than this. But you didn't silence that voice. And that matters. Because the truth is, heaven notices persistence, not perfection, persistence. The world celebrates flawless images and quick victories. Heaven pays attention to endurance. To the person who continues trying when no one is clapping, to the person who keeps faith even when the outcome is unclear, to the person who chooses integrity in a world that constantly rewards shortcuts. And that's why March 17th carries meaning for you. Not because magic suddenly appears out of nowhere, but because a shift happens when preparation meets readiness. Sometimes nothing around you changes at first. The same job, the same people, the same routines, but something inside you becomes clearer. Stronger, more grounded. You begin to notice things differently. You stop chasing validation from people who never understood your journey. You stop shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. You stop apologizing for needing peace. And slowly, your energy changes. This is where many people misunderstand transformation. They expect dramatic external miracles, but the most powerful changes begin internally. When your mindset shifts, your decisions shift. When your decisions shift, your direction shifts. And when your direction shifts, your life eventually follows. March 17th represents a moment where many chosen individuals will feel that internal alignment. A quiet realization that something within them has finally settled. The constant self-doubt begins to loosen its grip. The need for approval fades. The fear of moving forward becomes smaller than the desire to grow. And in that moment, something powerful happens psychologically. You begin to trust yourself, not perfectly, not arrogantly, but steadily. Trusting yourself means you stop asking everyone else what your life should look like. You start listening inward. You begin recognizing which relationships nourish your spirit and which ones drain it. You notice which environments allow you to grow and which ones keep you small. And once that awareness awakens, it cannot be turned off. This is often the turning point in the life of someone who has been chosen for deeper purpose. Not a loud announcement, not fireworks, just a calm, unmistakable knowing. A quiet voice saying, "You're ready now, ready to stop carrying emotional weight that was never yours. Ready to forgive yourself for things you learned the hard way. Ready to step away from cycles that kept repeating. Ready to become the person your past struggles were shaping you to be." And that realization can feel both exciting and uncomfortable. Because growth always asks you to leave something behind. Old identities, old fears, old patterns. But here is something deeply important to understand. Letting go does not mean your past was wasted. It means your past has finished teaching you. Everything you experienced, the heartbreaks, the delays, the confusion, they were chapters, not definitions. They built your emotional intelligence. They sharpened your awareness. They strengthened your empathy, and those qualities matter more than you realize. Because the world does not need more people who simply succeed. It needs people who understand struggle and still choose compassion. People who understand pain and still choose wisdom. People who have been tested and still choose integrity. Those are the people who quietly change environments, relationships, and communities without even realizing it. And that may very well be the role you are stepping into. Not by force, not by ego, but by example. Your strength may not look dramatic from the outside, but someone watching you, someone quietly observing your resilience might be. Finding hope because of it. That's the hidden influence chosen individuals often carry. They don't always see the impact they have, but it exists. Every time you choose growth instead of bitterness, every time you choose patience instead of anger, every time you refuse to let your past harden your heart, you create a ripple effect, and heaven sees those ripples, which is why the declaration surrounding March 17th is not about rewarding perfection. It is about acknowledging perseverance. It is about recognizing a spirit that refused to give up even when the path felt lonely. And that recognition creates a new chapter. A chapter where your past no longer feels like a burden. Instead, it becomes evidence of your strength. A chapter where you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start realizing, maybe this shaped me for something meaningful. That shift alone can transform the way you walk through life. Because when you understand that your struggles were part of your preparation, you stop feeling like a victim of circumstances. You begin seeing yourself as someone who endured, adapted, and evolved. And that perspective gives you something powerful, emotional authority, the ability to face future challenges with calm instead of panic, the ability to navigate uncertainty without losing yourself, the ability to recognize that temporary setbacks are not final verdicts. That is the quiet power many chosen individuals carry once they step into awareness. Not loud confidence, but steady confidence. Not ego, but clarity. And once that clarity appears, everything begins to align differently. Opportunities appear that match your new mindset. People enter your life who respect your growth. Old doors close, but better doors open. And sometimes it feels almost surreal, because the same person who once felt overlooked suddenly begins attracting the right circumstances. But that shift was never luck, it was alignment. The moment when your internal growth finally matches the life waiting for you. So if you've been feeling something lately, a sense that something inside you is changing, a quiet readiness to step forward, a calm understanding that your life is not meant to stay the same, trust that feeling. Because growth often announces itself as discomfort first and clarity later. And March the 17th of May simply be the moment you recognize just how far you've come. Not perfect, but stronger, not fearless, but wiser, not finished, but ready. And that readiness is something no one can take from you. Not criticism, not doubt, not the opinions of people who never walked your path. Because the strength you carry now was earned, built piece by piece through experiences that tested you, through choices that required courage, through moments where giving up would have been easier, but you didn't. And that is why this message matters, not because it predicts your future, but because it reminds you of who you are becoming. Someone resilient, someone aware, someone capable of creating a life guided by wisdom rather than fear. So as March 17th approaches, don't look for dramatic signs, look inward, notice your growth, recognize the quiet power that has been forming inside you all along. And remember this, heaven's declaration about you was never about making you extraordinary in the eyes of the world. It was about reminding you of the strength that already exists within you, the strength to grow, the strength to choose peace, the strength to walk forward even when the road is uncertain. And when you carry that kind of strength, everything truly does change. Because the moment you realize who you are becoming, you stop waiting for permission to live your life with purpose. You stop doubting the quiet wisdom inside you, stop shrinking your potential to fit into smaller expectations. Instead, you rise calmly, confidently, steadily, and that kind of rising cannot be stopped. So if this message reached you today, take a breath for a moment, reflect on everything you've survived, everything you've learned, everything that tried to break you but didn't, and understand something powerful. You are not the same person you were a year ago, or even 6 months ago. You have grown, you have awakened. And whether the world recognizes it yet or not, you are stepping into a new chapter of strength, clarity, and purpose. So walk into March 17th, not with fear, but with awareness. Because heaven's declaration about you was never meant to create pressure. It was meant to remind you of the truth. You were never overlooked. You were being prepared. And now you are ready.